When the world feels chaotic, when every step feels like a stumble, there's a tendency to tense up, to resist, to fight back. We convince ourselves that life should flow a certain way, that comfort and ease should be constant companions. But what if instead we leaned into the very fabric of discomfort? What if we made friends with the chaos? We are often conditioned to think that happiness comes only when life is smooth and flawless, but this perspective can lead to a constant struggle, where we're endlessly fixing, managing, and attempting to perfect each part of our lives. Yet what if true happiness is found not in the absence of imperfections, but in the embrace of them? When we accept life's imperfections, we free ourselves from an illusion of control and open ourselves to a deeper, more authentic relationship with life. In trying to arrange life so that nothing goes awry, we unknowingly create a prison of our own making. We set expectations that life should be predictable, manageable, and controllable. But life itself is a flowing process, full of fluctuations and complexities that resist control. By striving for a version of life that excludes uncertainty and discomfort, we're rejecting the very nature of life itself. Rather than encountering experiences as they are, we judge them based on how closely they meet our preconceived notions of how life should look and feel. And when those expectations aren't met, we're left feeling unfulfilled, anxious, and often frustrated. There is a profound freedom in simply allowing things to be as they are. To live openly with imperfection is to make peace with life's inherent unpredictability. It means acknowledging that life includes both light and shadow, both joy and sorrow. Instead of resisting, we can soften, choosing to see each experience, even the challenging or painful ones, as integral to our journey. This doesn't mean passively accepting situations that harm us or giving up on bettering ourselves. Instead, it's about letting go of rigid ideas of perfection and embracing the fact that growth often arises from the unpredictable and the difficult. When we allow life to unfold without imposing rigid standards upon it, something beautiful happens. We become more present, more open to experiencing life in its fullness. The imperfect moments, the missed opportunities, the unexpected detours, even the heartbreaks are no longer problems to solve, but parts of the greater picture, the ebb and flow that give life its depth and color. Embracing imperfection doesn't mean we settle for mediocrity. It means we find worth in each moment, even those we would rather escape. This shift creates a kind of inner freedom. When we stop judging ourselves and our lives against an unrealistic ideal, we discover a sense of ease, a connection to the deeper flow of life. In this acceptance, we learn to trust ourselves and our path, understanding that every experience, even the uncomfortable ones, has something to teach us. These imperfections teach us resilience, humility, and compassion. They remind us that we're part of a vast, interconnected process where each high and low contributes to our growth. By embracing life's imperfections, we learn to be kinder to ourselves and others. We stop holding people to impossible standards and start seeing them and ourselves for who we truly are, beings on a journey, navigating the highs and lows as best as we can. This mindset fosters a sense of empathy and connection. In a world that constantly promotes perfection, choosing to embrace the imperfect is a radical act of self-liberation. It allows us to truly live, to be present with whatever arises, and to find beauty in the impermanent and the imperfect, which in truth is all there is. Challenges are often seen as obstacles standing between us and the life we desire, disruptions that we must overcome to find peace or happiness. But what if, instead of viewing them as roadblocks, we began to see them as essential parts of our journey, guiding us to learn, grow, and transform? Shifting our perspective on challenges means approaching them not with resistance or frustration, but with curiosity and openness. By changing how we view the difficulties in our lives, we open ourselves to new layers of resilience and insight that might otherwise remain hidden. When we encounter a challenge, the initial response is often to resist it, to wish it away, or to feel that life has somehow gone wrong, however. This reaction stems from a misunderstanding that life should unfold without hardship. But life's inherent nature is change and fluctuation, and challenges are a natural part of this rhythm. Every difficult experience presents an opportunity to step into a deeper awareness of ourselves. Rather than being disruptions, challenges reveal parts of ourselves that may need healing, strengthening, or acceptance. They offer us a mirror, showing us where we may harbor fears, insecurities, or limiting beliefs that we have not yet faced. When we shift our perspective, we begin to see challenges as teachers, each one offering a unique lesson. The difficulties we encounter often highlight areas in which we need to develop patience, compassion, and adaptability. For example, a challenge in our career may initially feel like a setback, yet it may be guiding us to question our true purpose or to learn a new skill. A conflict in a relationship, painful as it may be, might bring us to a greater understanding of our own needs and boundaries, or reveal aspects of empathy and forgiveness that we have not yet explored. Seen from this angle, challenges are catalysts, pushing us towards self-discovery and personal evolution. When we approach life's difficulties with a mindset of growth, we no longer feel as though we're in a constant battle with what's happening around us. Instead, we develop a sense of trust in ourselves and in life's process. This shift allows us to be more resilient. We learn to move with life rather than against it, adapting as each situation requires. With this adaptability, the anxiety and stress that often accompany challenges begin to dissolve, and in their place arises a quiet confidence. We begin to believe that we can handle whatever comes our way, not by controlling it, but by engaging with it fully and openly. This perspective fosters gratitude. When we look back at past challenges, we often realize that they played a crucial role in shaping who we are today. Without those trials, we would not have gained the wisdom, strength, or compassion that we carry now. Each challenge has contributed to our growth, whether we recognized it at the time or only much later. Embracing this viewpoint allows us to be grateful for each part of our journey, knowing that even the difficulties serve a purpose. As we shift our perspective on challenges, we unlock the potential to live with greater ease and trust. We become active participants in our own growth, recognizing that life's twists and turns are not merely things to endure, but opportunities to evolve. By approaching challenges with openness, we allow ourselves to experience life in a fuller, richer way, discovering insights and strengths that can only emerge when we face adversity with courage and curiosity. Finding peace in letting go is an invitation to release the mental and emotional weight we carry, freeing ourselves from the constant need to control, fix, and manage every detail of life. We often hold tightly to our desires, expectations, and plans, believing that by doing so we can steer life in the direction we want. Yet this rigid grip often creates stress, disappointment, and frustration. Letting go, on the other hand, allows us to experience life more openly, creating space for peace, acceptance, and trust in the unfolding of things as they are. The need to control stems from a fear of uncertainty. We believe that by holding on tightly, whether to relationships, situations, or outcomes, we can ensure security, happiness, or stability. But in reality, life is an ever-changing flow, one that cannot be entirely shaped by our will. Each day brings new circumstances, unforeseen events, and shifts that are often beyond our influence. When we resist this natural flux, we set ourselves up for constant friction, as our need for control clashes with life's inherent unpredictability. Letting go does not mean apathy or indifference. Rather, it is a gentle surrender to what is, a willingness to accept that some things are simply beyond our reach. This acceptance is not passive. It's an active choice to release the tension that comes with clinging. When we let go of trying to shape every outcome, we create a space within ourselves where peace can take root. We learn to trust that life has its own rhythm, one that may not always align with our expectations, but often brings us exactly what we need for growth and understanding. Letting go also involves releasing our attachment to past experiences or imagined futures. We often carry the weight of past pain, mistakes, or missed opportunities, replaying them in our minds with regret or longing. At the same time, we project ourselves into an idealized future, where happiness or fulfillment always seems to lie just ahead. But by clinging to the past or idealizing the future, we overlook the richness of the present moment. In letting go of these attachments, we find the freedom to be here, now fully engaged with what life is offering us in this very instant. In relationships, too, letting go can foster a deeper sense of peace. Often we try to mold others to fit our ideals, holding on to how we believe they should be or act. This attachment not only creates stress, but also limits our ability to experience genuine connection. When we release these expectations, we allow others to be as they are. This doesn't mean we ignore our own needs or boundaries, but rather that we respect the individuality of each person, letting go of the need to change them. This acceptance opens the door to more authentic, harmonious connections. Letting go brings us into harmony with the natural flow of life, a rhythm that is spontaneous, unpredictable, and often beyond our understanding. By embracing this flow, we come to realize that peace isn't found in controlling life, but in releasing the need to do so. We learn to move with life rather than against it, finding a quiet strength in our openness and flexibility. In this surrender, we encounter a profound peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. We discover that our true nature is one of ease, contentment, and trust, a state that is accessible only when we allow ourselves to let go. Acceptance is a transformative force that opens the door to inner peace and resilience. It's the quiet, powerful act of acknowledging reality as it is, without wishing things to be different. Often we resist situations, emotions, or experiences that don't align with our expectations or desires, creating a continuous struggle between what we want and what actually is. This resistance breeds tension, frustration, and even suffering, as we attempt to control or avoid life's natural unfolding. Acceptance, however, invites us to release this resistance, allowing us to meet each moment fully and experience a profound sense of calm and clarity. At its core, acceptance is a choice to stop fighting reality. It doesn't mean we agree with everything that happens or resign ourselves to an unchanging fate. Rather, it means recognizing that there are aspects of life beyond our control and choosing to work with them rather than against them. When we accept something, we give ourselves permission to be with it as it is, which can alleviate the stress that comes from constant striving or wishing things were different. It's a profound shift from resistance to openness, from tension to flow. Acceptance also involves acknowledging our emotions without judgment. Often, when we experience difficult feelings like anger, sadness, or fear, we tend to suppress or deny them, thinking that by ignoring these emotions, they will disappear. But denying emotions only gives them more power, as they continue to influence our thoughts and actions from beneath the surface. Acceptance allows us to face these emotions honestly, to feel them fully, and to move through them. When we accept our feelings, we free ourselves from the weight of suppression, finding clarity and understanding rather than judgment or avoidance. This principle of acceptance extends to accepting ourselves. Many people go through life carrying a sense of inadequacy, constantly measuring themselves against an ideal version of who they think they should be. But by always striving to be something other than who we are, we miss the richness of our true selves. Accepting ourselves as we are, with all our strengths, weaknesses, quirks, and flaws, is an act of profound kindness. It allows us to feel whole as we no longer reject any part of ourselves. This self-acceptance is liberating and empowering, as it grants us permission to be genuine, to live authentically without the weight of unrealistic expectations. In relationships, acceptance fosters understanding and compassion. When we accept others as they are, we stop trying to mold them into our own ideals. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior, but rather understanding that each person has their own path, struggles, and growth. When we release the need for others to conform to our expectations, we create space for genuine connection, allowing each person to show up as their true self. This openness leads to more harmonious and enriching relationships, grounded in mutual respect and appreciation. Acceptance transforms how we approach challenges and setbacks as well. Instead of seeing obstacles as unfair intrusions on our path, we begin to view them as part of the journey, opportunities for growth and learning. When we accept challenges, we engage with them constructively, using our energy to adapt and respond rather than resist. This attitude allows us to navigate life's ups and downs with greater resilience, finding meaning and even gratitude in the face of adversity. In embracing acceptance, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, which is constantly shifting and evolving. We realize that peace doesn't come from controlling life's outcomes, but from allowing life to unfold as it does. Acceptance opens the door to a life lived with greater ease, openness, and joy, as we release the need to fight against reality and instead embrace the beauty of each moment, exactly as it is. Inner joy is a profound sense of contentment that emerges from within, independent of the external world and its shifting tides. It's a joy that isn't bound to circumstances, achievements, or possessions. Rather, it arises from a place of self-awareness, peace, and acceptance. Unlike fleeting pleasure, which relies on favorable conditions or experiences, inner joy is sustainable and resilient, remaining present even when life doesn't align with our desires or expectations. This distinction between inner joy and external happiness is essential, because the latter often leads us on an endless chase for more, while inner joy invites us to find fulfillment right where we are. In a world driven by material success, social approval, and achievement, it's easy to equate happiness with external accomplishments. We're taught that joy will come once we reach a certain milestone, acquire specific things, or live a particular lifestyle. However, these forms of happiness are temporary, tied to the ebb and flow of fortune. When conditions change, and they inevitably do so too, does our sense of well-being. By seeking joy outside of ourselves, we relinquish control over our happiness, making it conditional and vulnerable to the unpredictable nature of life. Inner joy, on the other hand, emerges from a deeper understanding of ourselves and our connection to life. It's a joy rooted in awareness and self-acceptance, the realization that we don't need anything external to complete us. When we shift our focus from external pursuits to inner exploration, we discover a sense of peace and fulfillment that's independent of our circumstances. This joy is often subtle, not flashy or dramatic, but it's steadfast, carrying us through both joyful and challenging times. Cultivating inner joy requires developing a relationship with ourselves, taking time to understand who we are beneath the surface of roles, achievements, and possessions. An essential part of nurturing inner joy is letting go of attachment to specific outcomes. So often our happiness is tied to things turning out a particular way, whether in career, relationships, or personal goals. However, when we rely on specific results to feel good, we set ourselves up for disappointment and dissatisfaction. Inner joy teaches us to find contentment in the present, appreciating life as it is rather than as we wish it to be. This doesn't mean we lack ambition or desire. It means that our sense of self-worth and happiness isn't contingent on those desires being fulfilled. This attitude allows us to approach life's goals with enthusiasm and purpose without the burden of dependency. Practices such as mindfulness and gratitude play a significant role in cultivating inner joy. Mindfulness helps us to be fully present, allowing us to experience life's moments without judgment or the constant need for improvement. When we are present, we engage with life more fully, finding joy in simple experiences: a quiet morning, the taste of a meal, a conversation with a friend. Gratitude, too, shifts our focus from what's lacking to what's abundant in our lives. By appreciating the small things, we build a foundation of joy that doesn't rely on grand achievements, but on the beauty of everyday moments. Another key to sustaining inner joy is embracing impermanence. Life is constantly changing, and no external condition is permanent. When we accept this truth, we can stop clinging to things as if they define our happiness. This understanding frees us to engage fully with life without fear of losing our sense of well-being when things change. Inner joy encourages us to view life as a series of experiences, each valuable and worthy of appreciation, regardless of whether they bring pleasure or pain. It's a way of living with openness and flexibility, finding joy in the journey itself rather than in any particular destination. In cultivating inner joy, we create a sanctuary within ourselves that remains steady amid life's uncertainties. This joy is not dependent on success or possessions, but rather on a profound sense of being, of simply existing with an open heart. It is a wellspring of peace that we can draw upon at any time, allowing us to navigate the world with a sense of fullness and gratitude, no matter what life brings our way. Gratitude for small moments is a practice of noticing and appreciating the simple, often overlooked experiences in daily life. In a culture that frequently emphasizes big achievements and monumental events, it's easy to miss the beauty in everyday moments. Yet it is these seemingly ordinary experiences, like the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the taste of a comforting meal, or a brief smile from a stranger, that make life rich and meaningful. By cultivating gratitude for these small moments, we develop a deeper awareness and appreciation for life as it unfolds, finding joy and contentment in the here and now. When we focus solely on grand milestones or future goals, we unintentionally create a sense of lack, as if our happiness is something to be achieved rather than something that can be experienced in each passing moment. This mindset can keep us in a perpetual state of waiting, always anticipating something better on the horizon. But when we shift our attention to the present, noticing the small details that color our days, we begin to realize that joy doesn't require a grand occasion. It's available to us right here, in the small and often quiet moments of our lives. Gratitude for small moments is about pausing to truly engage with our surroundings. It's recognizing the satisfaction in everyday rituals, like sipping morning coffee, listening to the rustling leaves, or feeling the embrace of a loved one. These moments may seem insignificant, but they are the building blocks of a fulfilling life. By practicing gratitude, we give these moments the attention they deserve, realizing that happiness is not confined to life's peaks. Instead, it flows gently through the present, available to us whenever we choose to notice it. Mindfulness plays a central role in this practice, as it helps us slow down and tune into the details of each moment. When we are mindful, we are fully engaged with whatever we're experiencing, whether it's a conversation, a meal, or simply the act of breathing. This presence allows us to experience life's moments more fully, appreciating their uniqueness. Practicing mindfulness doesn't require us to ignore life's challenges, rather. It helps us see that even amid difficulties, there are small things to appreciate. When we cultivate this awareness, we start to realize that life is a mosaic of these small, precious experiences, each one adding depth and color to our existence. Gratitude for small moments also encourages resilience. When we learn to appreciate the little things, we build an inner reserve of positivity that can sustain us through life's challenges. Instead of being swept away by disappointment or frustration when things don't go as planned, we can find solace in small comforts. A gentle breeze, the sound of birds outside, or the laughter of a friend can remind us that there is beauty to be found, even in difficult times. This practice of gratitude fosters a sense of inner peace, helping us maintain balance in the face of uncertainty. Gratitude for small moments strengthens our relationships. When we appreciate the small gestures of kindness or the simple presence of loved ones, we nurture a deeper connection with them. Instead of taking people for granted, we begin to see them with fresh eyes, appreciating the joy they bring into our lives in ways we may have overlooked before. This sense of gratitude transforms our interactions, encouraging us to express appreciation more often and creating a positive feedback loop that deepens our bonds. This approach to gratitude doesn't require radical changes to our lives. It's about becoming attuned to what is already present and valuing it fully. As we begin to notice and savor these small moments, we come to understand that life's richness lies not in constant achievement or constant excitement, but in the simple, often quiet beauty that fills each day. Practicing gratitude for these moments teaches us that fulfillment is not something to be sought outside of ourselves. It is something we can cultivate internally by nurturing a grateful heart, one that is open to the everyday magic that surrounds us. In embracing gratitude for small moments, we uncover a wellspring of inner peace and contentment that transcends life's highs and lows. By shifting our focus from grand achievements to the beauty in everyday details, we invite a deeper appreciation of life's richness, woven through the simplest experiences. Practicing this gratitude doesn't require a change in circumstance, but a shift in awareness, allowing us to see that joy is always within reach. Through mindful appreciation, we nurture resilience, strengthen our relationships, and create a fulfilling life centered on presence and openness. Ultimately, gratitude for small moments reveals that true happiness is not a destination to be reached, but a way of being accessible to us in every moment we choose to see and savor. There is a silent war waging within you, a battle between who you are and who you could be. Most people never win this war. They numb themselves with distractions, blaming the world for their suffering, unaware that the real enemy is within. You have built the walls that confine you, brick by brick, with your thoughts, choices, and fears. Yet you look around, confused, wondering why life feels heavy, why peace seems distant, and why every step forward feels like dragging chains from the path. But who placed those chains there? Who keeps reinforcing the walls that imprison you? It has always been you. You are the architect of your own chaos. At some point you convinced yourself that your struggles were external, that circumstances were to blame, that misfortune singled you out unfairly. But what if the battle has never been outside? What if the storm has always been within? Every excuse you make, every fear you feed, every time you surrender to distraction rather than discipline, you lay another brick in the fortress of your suffering. And the longer you do this, the stronger the illusion grows that you are trapped by forces beyond your control. The mind is powerful, but it is also deceptive. It weaves intricate stories, telling you that you are a victim, that life happens to you, that you are powerless in the face of circumstance. And so you adopt these narratives, wearing them like a heavy cloak, convincing yourself that you cannot escape. But what if you put it down? What if you stopped carrying a burden that was never real to begin with? Look at your life honestly, not through the lens of blame or self-pity, but with absolute clarity. Every pattern that repeats, every problem that resurfaces, every cycle that refuses to break. What is the common thread? It is you. The way you respond, the way you perceive, the way you allow emotions to dictate your actions. Chaos does not appear from nowhere. It is cultivated, shaped, and maintained by what you tolerate, what you ignore, and what you refuse to confront. Perhaps you have told yourself that your anger, your sadness, your failures are a result of what others have done to you. But if you look deeper, you will see that no external force has ever had as much control over you as your own mind. The moment you give away responsibility, you give away power. The moment you blame, you surrender control. And this is where chaos thrives. In the absence of self-mastery, in the spaces where awareness has been replaced by reactivity. Your mind is like a garden. Leave it unattended and weeds will take over. Let small problems go unchecked and they will grow into something monstrous. Allow negative thoughts to take root and soon they will suffocate every possibility of peace. But just as you created the chaos, you can dismantle it. Just as you built the walls, you can tear them down. It begins with awareness, seeing your role in your own suffering without judgment, without excuses. Change is uncomfortable. It requires breaking old patterns, rejecting familiar excuses, and facing truths that you have long avoided. But discomfort is a small price to pay for liberation. The question is not whether you have the power to change, but whether you are willing to stop feeding the chaos you have created, whether you are ready to stop making excuses and start making choices that serve you instead of sabotage you. The mind clings to the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. It would rather sit in the misery it knows than step into the uncertainty of transformation. But if you continue to choose the known over the possible, you will wake up one day and realize that nothing has changed, except that time has passed and regret has replaced hope. If you want to escape the chaos, you must first recognize that you are the one who built it. And that is not a curse, it is a gift. Because if you created it, you can uncreate it. If you shaped the storm, you can also calm it. If you have been the architect of your suffering, then you can also be the architect of your freedom. Time is slipping away while you hesitate, while you wait for the perfect moment, while you convince yourself that tomorrow will be different. But tomorrow is not promised. The days pass whether you act or not, whether you grow or not, whether you rise or remain stagnant. Time does not pause for your fears, your doubts, or your indecision. It moves forward with or without you. You tell yourself there is still time to change, still time to become the person you want to be, still time to start the things you have been avoiding. And so you wait. You wait for motivation, for inspiration, for the right circumstances. You wait for the weight of your excuses to suddenly lift on their own. But time does not wait for you in return. It does not slow down to match your hesitations, nor does it pause while you contemplate taking action. It moves relentlessly, and with every passing second, the life you could have lived slips further away. Look back for a moment. Think of the days, the months, the years that have passed. Think of the moments you spent dwelling on things that did not matter, worrying about things you could not change, procrastinating on things you knew you should have done. Where did all those moments go? They vanished, leaving nothing but the weight of what could have been. And yet you continue forward in the same way, repeating the same cycle, as if time is an endless resource. It is easy to believe that there will always be more time, that the future holds all the possibilities you are not ready to claim today. But one day you will wake up and realize that the future has become the past, that the opportunities you assumed would always be there have disappeared. The chance to build, to learn, to improve, to love, to forgive, to experience, gone, simply because you waited too long. Regret is not born from the things you did, but from the things you did not do. The dreams you never chased, the words you never said, the risks you never took, the moments you allowed to pass without fully embracing them. And yet, even as you carry the weight of past hesitation, you continue to hesitate, as if somehow waiting will lead to something better than acting. But waiting does not bring change. It does not bring growth. It does not bring a second chance at the things you have already let slip away. Fear whispers to you that there is always tomorrow, that you can wait just a little longer, that there is no rush. But fear lies, because every moment you delay is a moment lost forever. Every opportunity ignored is an opportunity wasted. And time does not care whether you are afraid or unsure or unprepared. It moves forward just the same. You say you want a better life, but do you act like it? Do you use the time you have, or do you waste it in distraction, in hesitation, in meaningless pursuits that lead nowhere? Do you wake up with purpose, or do you let the day slip through your fingers, believing that you will be more disciplined, more motivated, more ready someday? But someday is a mirage. It is a lie the mind tells itself to justify inaction. Because the truth is, if you do not start now, you never will. There is no perfect time. There is no magical moment when everything aligns, when fear disappears, when taking action suddenly feels easy. There is only now. and now is all you will ever have. You can either use it or you can waste it. You can either take control or you can let time make the choice for you. But understand this, time waits for no one. Not for you, not for your dreams, not for the person you could become. If you do not move, time will move without you, and one day it will be too late. You search for something beyond yourself, something that will finally bring you peace, fulfillment, or meaning. You believe that if you could just find the right person, the right place, the right opportunity, then everything would fall into place. You convince yourself that salvation is out there, waiting for you, just beyond your reach. But no matter how far you search, no matter how much you chase, it always remains distant, always just a little further than where you are. This is the illusion of external salvation. The belief that something outside of you will fix what is broken within. It is a comforting thought, a hopeful one. It allows you to believe that your struggles are not yours to solve, that your pain will be relieved the moment the right circumstances arrive. And so you wait. You wait for life to change, for someone to save you, for destiny to intervene. But life does not work that way. Salvation does not come from beyond. It comes from within. You look at others convinced that they have found what you are missing. You see the way they move, the way they speak, the way they seem to have control over their lives, and you assume they have discovered the secret. You assume they have found the external source of happiness, the missing piece you are still searching for. But what you see is only a reflection of their own internal state. They are not free because they found something outside of themselves. They are free because they stopped looking for something to save them. No matter how much you acquire, no matter how much you achieve, if you believe that happiness and fulfillment exist outside of you, they will always be temporary. A new achievement will satisfy you for a moment, but then the emptiness returns. A new relationship will bring excitement, but soon the old wounds resurface. A change in surroundings will feel like a fresh start, but eventually you find yourself facing the same problem, because wherever you go, whatever you do, you are still there. And if you have not resolved what is within you, no external change will ever be enough. People spend their lives running from discomfort, from solitude, from self-reflection. They seek distractions, hoping to fill the space within them that feels incomplete. But avoidance is not salvation. Running does not bring peace. If anything, the more you search outside of yourself, the further you drift from the truth that you were never incomplete to begin with. The truth that nothing external can fix an internal imbalance. You were taught to seek approval, to find validation in how others see you, to measure your worth based on how much you have or how well you are perceived. And so you attach your sense of self to things that are fleeting. You define yourself by your status, by your possessions, by the people who choose to be in your life. But the moment any of these things are taken away, you feel lost, as if a piece of you has been stripped away. But how can something external take away what was always within you? How can you be less than whole simply because the world around you shifts? You believe that once you reach a certain point, then you will finally be free. That once you have enough, once you have accomplished enough, once you are loved enough, then you will be at peace. But the finish line keeps moving. No matter how much you gain, you always feel the pull toward more. Because it was never about the things, the achievements, the recognition. It was always about the belief that you needed something beyond yourself to be complete. The moment you stop searching outside of yourself is the moment you realize that nothing was missing. The moment you stop believing in external salvation is the moment you become free. Not because life becomes perfect, but because you no longer expect it to be. Not because struggles disappear, but because you no longer believe they define you. Salvation is not something to be found. It is something to be realized, and the realization is simple. Everything you have been searching for has been within you all along. Pain is something you try to escape, something you resist, something you wish would disappear. But no matter how far you run, no matter how much you distract yourself, it always finds its way back. Because pain is not an enemy, it is a teacher. And those who refuse to learn from it are doomed to suffer the same lessons again and again. You were never promised a life without struggle. You were never guaranteed a path without obstacles. Pain is woven into existence itself, an inescapable force that shapes everything it touches. And yet, people resist it as if they can somehow outrun the inevitable. They curse their misfortunes. They question why they must suffer. They demand answers from the universe as if hardship were some mistake, some cruel punishment. But pain is not here to destroy you. It is here to awaken you. Think back to the moments that changed you the most. They were not the easy days. They were not the times when everything went according to plan. They were the moments when life forced you to your knees, when everything you thought you knew crumbled before you, when you had no choice but to face the raw truth of who you were. Those were the moments that reshaped you. Because pain does not come without purpose. It breaks you only to rebuild you. It strips away the illusions, the false comforts, the lies you tell yourself, and forces you to confront reality as it is. Growth does not come from comfort. It does not come from a life free of hardship. Comfort dulls the mind, weakens the spirit, makes you forget what you are capable of. Pain, on the other hand, sharpens you. It burns away your weakness, it reveals your limits, and then demands that you push past them. It shows you who you are when everything is taken away, when there is no easy way out, when you are forced to rely on nothing but your own strength. There are those who allow pain to destroy them. They take suffering as a sign that life is unfair, that there is no point in trying. They sink into self-pity, into despair, into resentment. And in doing so, they allow their suffering to be meaningless. But then there are those who take pain and turn it into power. They take every hardship, every heartbreak, every failure, and they use it. They learn, they grow, they transform. Because they understand that pain is not the end, it is the beginning. The most powerful lessons in life do not come gently. They come through loss, through struggle, through moments that bring you to the edge of yourself. But these moments are not there to destroy you. They are there to forge you into something greater. Pain forces you to see what truly matters. It strips away distractions, forces you into the present, reminds you that you are alive. It is through pain that you discover your strength, that you learn resilience, that you come to understand what you are truly capable of. You cannot escape pain, but you can choose how to face it. You can resist it, fight against it, refuse to accept it, and in doing so make your suffering worse. Or you can embrace it, learn from it, allow it to change you. Pain will come either way, but whether it breaks you or builds you, that is up to you. From the moment you were born, you were given an identity, a name, a history, a role to play. You were taught who you were supposed to be, how you should act, what was expected of you. Piece by piece, you built an image of yourself, carefully crafted from the words and judgments of others. And over time, you came to believe that this image was real. You mistook the mask for the person underneath. But this self, this identity you cling to so tightly, is not who you truly are. It is a collection of borrowed beliefs, of conditioned responses, of illusions passed down through generations. You have spent years adding to it, shaping it, defending it, without ever questioning if it was real to begin with. And because of this, you suffer. You suffer because you are attached to something that does not exist. You suffer because you believe that this false self is you. This false self is fragile. It is built on approval, on validation, on the idea that you must be something in order to be worthy. It seeks control, clings to certainty, fears anything that threatens its existence. It is the voice that tells you who you should be, what you should want, how you should behave. It is the source of your anxieties, your fears, your endless search for meaning in places it will never be found. Look at how much energy you spend maintaining this illusion. You shape your actions to fit a mold. You hold on to beliefs that were never truly yours. You chase after things not because they fulfill you, but because they align with the image you think you must uphold. And yet, no matter how much you try to reinforce this self, it always feels incomplete. It always needs more recognition, more achievements, more assurance that it is real. But it is not real. It is an illusion, and illusions require constant maintenance. What happens when you let go of this false self? What happens when you stop pretending to be something you are not? At first, fear arises, a deep, unsettling fear. Because if you are not this identity, then who are you? If you are not your name, your past, your reputation, then what remains? The mind resists this question because it does not want to face the truth. It does not want to confront the emptiness beneath the illusion, but this emptiness is not something to fear. It is not the absence of self. It is the space where the real self begins. To detach from the false self is to surrender everything you thought you knew about who you are. It is to strip away the layers of conditioning, to release the need for validation, to stop grasping at an image that was never truly yours. It is terrifying, but it is also liberating. Because the moment you let go, you realize that you were never lost, never lacking, never incomplete. The real self has always been there, waiting beneath the noise, beneath the expectations, beneath the illusion. But to reach it, you must be willing to stand in the silence. You must be willing to face yourself without distraction, without excuses, without the stories you have been telling yourself for years. You must allow everything you thought you were to fall away, trusting that what remains is enough. And when you do, something shifts. You begin to see with new eyes. You begin to experience life not as the false self, but as something deeper, something beyond labels, beyond identities, beyond illusion. The false self is afraid of this freedom. It will fight to hold on. It will whisper doubts. It will cling to familiarity. It will convince you that without it you are nothing. But this is the final illusion, because when you let go, you do not become nothing. You become everything. You are no longer bound by roles, by expectations, by the need to be anything other than what you are. You are free to exist, to experience, to simply be. And in that being you discover a truth that was always there. There was never anything to fix, never anything to prove, never anything missing. The search was an illusion, the suffering unnecessary. Because the moment you detach from the false self, you realize that the real self was never lost. It was simply waiting to be seen. The mind is always restless, always moving, always searching. It jumps from thought to thought, chasing distractions, dwelling on the past, worrying about the future. It fills the silence with noise, with endless questions, with a constant stream of wants and fears, and yet no matter how much it thinks, no matter how much it analyzes, it never finds peace. It only creates more struggle, more confusion, more suffering. You have spent your life listening to this mind, believing every thought it offers, identifying with every fear it creates. It tells you what is possible and what is not. It reminds you of your limitations, of your failures, of every reason you should doubt yourself. It keeps you trapped in a cycle of hesitation, of overthinking, of seeking answers where none exist, and in doing so it weakens you. Because real power is not found in endless thinking, it is found in stillness. The mind is a tool, but it was never meant to be your master. It was meant to serve you, to assist you, to help you navigate the world. But somewhere along the way it took control. It convinced you that its voice was the only truth, that every thought must be followed, that every worry must be entertained. It led you away from the present, away from yourself, into a world of illusions. And now you are lost in its maze, searching for something that cannot be found in thought. But there is another way, a way beyond the noise, beyond the doubts, beyond the endless chatter of the mind. That way is silence, not the absence of sound, but the absence of resistance, the absence of unnecessary thought, the ability to sit in stillness and simply be. This silence is where your true power lies, because in silence you see clearly. You are no longer controlled by thoughts, no longer weighed down by endless analysis. You are present, you are aware, you are free. To silence the mind is not to fight it, not to suppress it, but to watch it. To observe without reacting, without grasping, without feeding into its illusions. When a thought arises, you let it come and you let it go. You do not chase it, you do not resist it, you simply watch. And in this watching, the mind loses its grip. It no longer controls you. It no longer defines you. It simply is. And in that space between thoughts, between distractions, you find something deeper. You find yourself. This silence is where true strength is born. It is in silence that clarity emerges, that wisdom arises, that intuition speaks. It is in silence that you realize how much energy you have wasted on useless worry, on unnecessary fears, on thoughts that were never real to begin with. And when the mind no longer rules you, when you are no longer a prisoner of its endless noise, you become unstoppable. The world is filled with distractions, with voices telling you who you should be, what you should do, what you should fear. But none of these voices matter. The only voice that truly matters is the one that speaks in the silence. The voice of your true self, the voice of wisdom that has been drowned out by the noise of the mind. And when you learn to listen to that voice, when you learn to trust it, you move through life with a power that cannot be shaken. The mind will try to pull you back, try to convince you that thinking is the only way, that silence is empty, that stillness is weakness. But this is the final illusion. Because real power is not in thinking. It is in knowing. It is in being. It is in the quiet certainty that comes when the mind no longer clouds your vision. And once you find that power, nothing can take it from you. Freedom is often misunderstood. Many believe it means doing whatever they want, whenever they want, without restriction. They see discipline as the enemy of freedom, as something rigid and confining, something that takes away their ability to enjoy life. But in truth, it is the lack of discipline that keeps people trapped. trapped in weakness, in bad habits, in cycles of regret. True freedom does not come from indulging every impulse. It comes from mastering oneself, from having control over the mind, the body, and the direction of one's life. Discipline is the foundation upon which real freedom is built. Without it, a person is at the mercy of their moods, their desires, their circumstances. They move through life without direction, chasing comfort, avoiding hardship, hoping that somehow things will change without effort. But nothing changes without effort. Nothing improves without discipline. Every achievement, every transformation, every form of greatness is built on the ability to do what must be done, even when one does not feel like doing it. There will always be an easy path, a tempting shortcut, a moment of pleasure that calls louder than the voice of responsibility. But every time one chooses the easy path over the disciplined path, they weaken themselves. They trade long-term strength for short-term comfort. They allow laziness to win, and in doing so they lose a piece of their power. Freedom does not come from surrendering to impulses. It comes from mastering them, from choosing action over excuses, from walking the difficult road because it leads to something greater. The disciplined person is not controlled by distractions. They are not easily swayed by temptation, by fear, by the opinions of others. They have trained themselves to act with purpose, to stay focused, to commit fully to what matters. And because of this, they move through life with confidence, with clarity, with a sense of control that others lack. They do not wait for motivation. They do not rely on external forces to push them forward. They move forward because they have trained themselves to do so, regardless of how they feel. There is nothing restricting about discipline. It does not take away enjoyment. It deepens it. It does not remove choice. It creates it. The person without discipline is limited, bound by their weaknesses, unable to break free from patterns that keep them stagnant. But the disciplined person has options. They have the power to build, to create, to achieve. They do not live in regret because they do not waste time. They do not live in fear because they have trained themselves to face challenges. They do not feel lost because they have set a direction and committed to walking the path. Discipline requires sacrifice, but it is a sacrifice worth making. It means choosing growth over comfort, effort over ease, persistence over giving up. It means waking up early when the body wants to rest, putting in work when the mind seeks distraction, staying focused when the world offers 1,000 ways to escape, and yet with each act of discipline, strength is built. With each challenge overcome, freedom is earned. The undisciplined person looks at the disciplined one and sees restriction, but they do not see the deeper reality. They do not see the strength that comes from years of commitment. They do not see the power that comes from mastering the self. They do not see the quiet confidence of someone who knows they are in control of their own life. True freedom is not the ability to do anything. It is the ability to do what is necessary, what is meaningful, what is right. And that ability is only cultivated through discipline. Those who seek freedom without discipline will never find it. They will be ruled by emotions, by distractions, by external circumstances. They will always be pulled in different directions, unable to break free from their own weaknesses. But those who choose discipline will find a deeper kind of freedom, freedom from doubt, freedom from fear, freedom from the limitations that hold others back. They will move with purpose, with confidence, with the quiet strength of those who have built themselves from within. And that is the only true freedom there is. There is always a reason to wait, a reason to hesitate, to delay, to convince oneself that the time is not right. The mind is skilled at finding excuses, at creating doubts, at whispering that tomorrow will be better, that there is no rush, that another chance will come. But time does not wait. Life moves forward with or without permission. Every moment spent in hesitation is a moment lost forever, a door that may never open again, an opportunity that may never return. Regret is born from inaction, from the choices not made, from the chances ignored. It does not arrive all at once, but slowly, creeping in through missed moments, through dreams that were never pursued, through words that were left unsaid. It builds with each passing year, growing heavier with the realization that the past cannot be changed, that the time once wasted cannot be reclaimed. And when the weight becomes unbearable, when there is no longer a way to fix what was lost, only then does the truth become clear. The greatest pain is not failure, but knowing that failure was never even attempted. Fear holds many people back, the fear of failure, of embarrassment, of stepping into the unknown. They convince themselves that they are not ready, that they must wait for more confidence, for more certainty, for a sign that guarantees success. But waiting does not build confidence. It does not create certainty. It only strengthens fear. The longer one waits, the more impossible action begins to feel. The mind becomes a prison, trapping potential beneath layers of hesitation, suffocating ambition with endless questions of what if. The only way to break free from this prison is to act. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Because action is the only force that creates change. No amount of thinking, no amount of wishing, no amount of planning will replace the power of simply starting. The first step does not need to be perfect. It does not need to be fully planned. It only needs to be taken. And once movement begins, once the first step is behind, momentum carries forward, fear weakens, and the path that once seemed impossible becomes clear. Every person who has achieved something great did so not because they had no fear, but because they acted despite it. They felt the same doubts, the same hesitation, but they did not let it stop them. They understood that time is a one-way road, that waiting serves no purpose, that the longer one delays, the further away success becomes. They did not wait for the perfect conditions because they knew that perfection is an illusion, that the perfect time never arrives, that the only time that exists is now. Many spend their lives dreaming, but dreams without action are nothing more than fantasies. They offer temporary comfort, an escape from reality, but they do not create change. Action is what turns dreams into reality. And every moment spent avoiding action is a moment spent choosing regret. The future is shaped by what is done in the present. Every delay, every excuse, every hesitation is a brick in the wall of regret, a barrier that separates potential from reality. Some will say they have time, that they will act when they are older, when life is more stable, when they feel more prepared. But time is not guaranteed. There is no promise of later, no certainty of another chance. Every day is an opportunity that will never come again, a chance to build or to destroy, to move forward or to remain stuck. And once it is gone, it cannot be reclaimed. Those who understand this do not leave their future in the hands of chance. They take action now, knowing that regret is the price of hesitation. Regret is a silent thief. It does not steal all at once, but piece by piece, taking moments, taking chances, taking years. And before one realizes what has been lost, it is too late to get it back. The only way to avoid regret is to act before hesitation takes hold, before time slips away, before another day is lost to fear. Because the pain of failure is temporary, but the pain of never trying lasts forever. Regret is not the result of failure, but of never having tried. Time does not wait, and every moment of hesitation is a moment lost forever. The future is shaped by the actions taken today, not by the dreams left unfulfilled or the excuses made in fear. Those who act despite uncertainty, despite doubt, despite the fear of failure, are the ones who create change, who break free from hesitation, who build a life without regret. Waiting achieves nothing. Only action does. The choice is always the same: step forward now, or spend a lifetime wondering what could have been.